undefeated flyweight prospect Casey Oneill. How you doing, Casey? It's been a few months since we spoke. The pandemic has happened, but you got a fight coming up. So, how you feeling?
Yeah, things are good in Phuket. Everything's open up again, and the gym's running as normal. So, been pretty lucky on this side.
Definitely. Well, before we get into your fight coming up, I want to talk about your last fight, Eternal 51, at the end of February. You took on Caitlin McEwen. She's pretty highly touted, right? Prospect. But you went in there. You got a dominant win over her. Did that fight play out like you planned? And did she surprise you any?
Yeah, so she was the number one ranked girl in Australia and New Zealand. So I was just underneath her. So it was a fight that we really wanted to get. For the most part, it played out how I thought it was going to play out. I did envision myself getting a finish in the fight, but didn't really nothing came about finish-wise. So I'm pretty happy with my performance, though. I think that I managed to beat her everywhere. So, yeah, like I said, I'm happy to grapple with anyone. I think that my grappling will hold up against anybody and beat anybody. So I knew my striking was better than hers. And yeah, I think that played out for the most part how we thought.
I think that's so important for a young fighter is that, sometimes they get caught up in the hype and they go after, they put themselves in danger to get a finish. But for yourself, you seem like you're a little bit more mature than most fighters.
Yeah, I think in my amateur career, I had a lot of finishes. So when I moved into the pros and I had my first decision was my professional debut. And I just kept thinking to myself in the corner, oh my God, am I not good anymore? What happened? But yeah, I think that you realize once the level of opponent that you're facing improves, those finishes are fewer and far in between. So dominant performances are what I aim for, regardless of finish or decision. So yeah, I think that maturity wise, I definitely realized I need to slow down a little bit and just take what opportunity presents itself in the fight. So if the finish is there, I'll take it, but I'm happy to ride home a decision.
Is there any other girls out in Australia that you feel can challenge you now? Because you pretty much beat everybody.
None. I think that I'm done with Australia and New Zealand at the moment until another girl, I guess, would come forward. But I'm thinking that I've only got a couple more fights outside of the big organizations left. So I want to take on girls who are ranked number one in their countries too, and just prove myself against the best all around the world. I feel like that's how I'll get noticed.
Yeah, definitely. Your next fight is going to be against a girl that is the best in her country. Now, after Eternal 51, that was late February, you get back to Phuket, and then the pandemic hits almost immediately. Take me back to that time and what was going through your mind?
So I'm sitting at the airport the day after the fight on the phone with Eternal talking about my next fight, which was going to be at the start of April. And I was going to be fighting whoever they could find. I was just get me a fight. We're happening, talking to George, telling him we're getting straight back into camp, everything's going to happen. And then we get back and the pandemic hits, obviously, and everything falls through and the gym closes. That was awful for me because I live in Phuket for the gym, so that was horrible when the gym closed. And obviously a lot of people had it a lot worse than us, living on a tropical island and having to stay home or go to the beach instead of, do your job or go to the gym. I mean, it sounds good in theory, but for me, it's my worst nightmare. I'd rather be at the gym every day. But yeah, I think in a roundabout way, it was a good thing because I got some time to recover my body. I train year round, so having a little bit of time to focus more on strength and conditioning and cardio instead of always doing hard wrestling rounds or hard sparring rounds gave my body a little bit of a break that I think that it needed. But I never stopped training. We sort of just moved things into a home gym setting, and I was lucky to have all my coaches around pushing me still during the quarantine. So yeah.
So you were still training at people's homes or at your home? What was the deal?
I was training at home by myself a little bit, and then we set up some secret meetings and trained together because we're crazy and we can't keep away from it. But yeah, so it was a couple of months here, actually. It was longer than we first thought. So I think that if we hadn't set something up or trained at all, we would have gone a little bit insane. So yeah, it was good.
When they were talking about closing the airport and the bridges, were you thinking like, okay, I gotta get off the island, or was that not even in your mind? You were thinking like, oh, it's gonna be over real quick. It's no big deal.
I was like, thank God I'm in Thailand and not anywhere else. Like every other country is like losing its shit, and Thailand was just like, it's all good. It's all good. So I wasn't going anywhere. Every time someone told me they were going home, I was like, you're crazy. Like, this is where you should stay, you know? So Thailand did like an amazing job at beating Corona. So we had like 100 days Corona free, and it just got broken by like, I think one case in Bangkok. But Thailand did really well. So I'm glad that I stayed here. The only downside obviously is the airport still closed. You know, the borders are closed. You can leave, but you can't come back. So, I mean, that's the only bad thing. But yeah.
Yeah, it's not too bad, right? Now, because Australia is like lockdowns going on all the time, and it's pretty nuts.
Yeah, Australia's really bad. I'm really glad I didn't go home.
Now, you got the gym, Tiger Muay Thai. When did it open back up? How long ago was that?
I think we've been back open for a month and a half, 2 months. I don't know. I think a while anyway. I've had like a good 6-week or 8-week camp for this fight. I don't even know. It just feels like time is going crazy at the moment. Like everything feels like it's so slow, but it's so fast at the same time. Yeah, I think we've been open for 2 months, but I'm not sure at all.
Is it because there are not as many people there like normal, you know? Because normally there's like always people coming in and out. You don't know who's going to be on the mats, but now it's like a steady flow of the same training partners, right?
Yeah, I actually really like it. Like I mean, I love having new bodies come in and new styles all the time. You learn a lot from having people that don't know your style to come up against and spar and grapple with. But having like the group of girls that we've got now, and like obviously the guys as well, but the group of girls, we all train together. We know each other's style. We know how to push each other, strengths and weaknesses. Like all of that is known. So it really forces you to sort of try and like sort of like adapt, I guess, and you know, do better in your rounds and learn new things and try new things so that they're not like sure what's coming. But yeah, I've been really lucky to have 4 like solid girls around my weight that can mimic this girl for me and stayed with me the whole camp. So yeah.
Yeah, also they are your close training partners, so they're less likely to injure you, because when you got people coming in left and right, you know, they could be wild.
Yeah. So for my last fight, I actually got injured like I think 2 weeks out just from someone that was popping in for a couple of days, and I was just like, oh, it's so frustrating. But yeah, I think that definitely it's a lot better to train with people that you trust when you have a fight coming up, especially in the last few weeks.
All right, now your upcoming fight, UAE Warriors 13, you're going to Abu Dhabi. You're taking on the #1 flyweight in Greece, Christina Stelliou. What is your assessment of her? Have you watched her fights, and what do you think about her?
Yeah, I've watched a couple of her fights. I think 1 or 2, but I mean, she's scrappy. I think that she likes to fight. She's had quite a few fights, so she's got a little bit of experience, and obviously I know she's done like a TV show or something like that. But yeah, I don't really see much in her that would beat me. I think that once again, my grappling will be a lot better, and my striking is also a lot better than hers. So yeah, I think that I'm not really worried. I also think that the level of opponent that I've faced is a lot higher than hers, just looking at the records of the people that she's fought. Yeah, and obviously being in a country like Australia, I think that the girls are tougher than Greece. You know, it's like a small country, but yeah, I think she's going to bring the fight, but I think she's going to be really surprised when she gets in there and feels like sort of the power and what I can do, and I think that it'll be a little bit overwhelming.
Is there somewhat of an excitement for you to be able to go all the way to Abu Dhabi and fight? This is probably the first time, right, fighting outside of Australia?
Yeah, I'm like so hyped for fighting out of Australia. I've been wanting to do that for so long. and the opportunity or timing's just never been right. So yeah, to get this going, like, all props to Danny for getting this, because in the middle of a pandemic, he managed to find me a fight, like, in UAE, which is like Fight Island, the capital of the fighting world at the moment, I would say. So yeah, I'm really, really excited to get into Dubai and show them like what I got.
How do you see this fight playing out? What do you foresee?
I mean, a first round finish in my mind. I think that like I said, I think I'm going to be too much for her and I'm going to overwhelm her. But she seems tough, so maybe not. I'm not going to rush it, as I say. But yeah, I envision this fight being pretty violent and over pretty fast.
Do you feel like this fight is, in a way, a audition for the UFC? Because, like you said, the UFC's Fight Island is going to be going on. I feel like the week after you fight, or that week, they're going to have an event. So they're going to be there for a month. So you never know what can happen.
Yeah, well, there's reasons to do everything, right? So maybe that's a little bit why we're going. But yeah, I think it's a coming out party of, like, in a way, my first fight out of Australia, as you said. So I'm excited to show people, like, what I can do, and like showcase myself to a bigger audience, or like a different market, I guess. And yeah, right time, right place, and you never know what could happen. Once I finish this fight and I'm 5-0, I'm not sure that there's many other girls that can say they've won 10 fights in a row, and I'll be there and I'll be ready and I'll be waiting for whoever calls me up.
Loma, she's fighting the week after you, right?
Yeah.
So is she going to go out there?
So originally it was going to be me, Loma, and George go to my fight, and then we were all going to go to her fight. But with the quarantine rules for the UFC, they can't come with me. So, yeah, we're not going to see each other, unfortunately.
But you never know what can happen, though. That's what I'm just saying.
I'm going to be there for a minute, so we're going to see. We're going to see.
All right. Well, speaking with your coach, George Hickman, and I spoke with him a couple of days ago, and I asked him about you, and he said that one characteristic that you have is that, man, you just work and work and work. How do you keep yourself from overworking, though?
If you ask him, I don't. I think that I train a lot, and yeah, probably overtrain at times, but I mean, the mindset that I have is that if I'm not training and my opponent's training, then I'm losing. So I'll never be outworked, that's for sure. I'm always in the gym and I'm always training, but I think that I love it. Like, I like to train. I like to be in the gym. I like to be working on getting better. It's the only goal that I have in life, is to be a fighter. So I feel like I can't be chilling. I got to be training. So yeah, I don't stop myself from overtraining. If I'm tired, I'll take a break and I'll have a lighter session, but I'm pretty go.
All right. Well, with a win in your next fight, you'll be 5-0 as a pro, and I feel like that's a pretty damn good record, right? And you got the Contender Series coming up in November. They're gonna start that back up, and then you have the UFC, of course, going right now. What would you like to do if you win? Would you want to fight on the Contender Series, or would you like to get signed directly to the UFC?
I would like to get signed straight to the UFC, but if a Contender Series fight pops up, we'll take that. I'm looking at taking anything that pops up with the UFC, so whatever they want to do. I heard there's a tough show coming up, so if that's girls, I'm in. Contender Series, I'm in. A fight, I'm in. Like, 1 week's notice, a day's notice, I don't care, So, like I said, I'm going to be there and I'm going to be ready. I think that once I win this fight, the resume that I've put forward will definitely get some people, like, on the phone to Danny talking about me. So it'll be good.
All right. Well, September 25th, UAE Warriors 13, Abu Dhabi. Thank you, Casey, for the time. Always good catching up with you. Good luck to you, and all the best in your future.
Yeah, thank you so much for having me on.